We'll go right to the notes column released this morning in The Athletic. I advise everyone to check it out. But it starts with why an Alex Bregman trade makes no sense for the Red Sox. Why, Ken?
It actually makes no sense, period. And I'll go through it here. There's been some talk about this, various websites, just people kind of speculating about the possibility if the Red Sox fall out trading Bregman. One, they're not falling out. They've got a 7-game winning streak going. They're currently holding the third wild card spot. And yeah, they've got a tough schedule coming out of the break. But in the American League, with so many teams kind of in a mediocre place, I don't see them falling out, even if they go, say, 5-10. The other issue here is his contract. And as you guys know, it's a 3-year, $120 million deal. This is the first year. He can opt out after this year. He can opt out after next year. So if you trade him to a team, they're going to take on about $13 million in salary. And they're going to think, okay, that's okay if he opts out, because if he opts out, we're not due for that $40 million or maybe the other $40 million on top of that. Well, there's no guarantee that he is going to opt out. What if he blows out his knee or something else happens from an injury perspective that keeps him out for part of next year as well as the rest of this year? Then you don't want to be paying $40 million. And that's actually the Red Sox position right now, the situation that they're in. That could happen. Bregman's coming off the IL without a rehab assignment. I'm not predicting an injury or anything like that, but there is a non-zero chance that he does get hurt. So for all those reasons, and the other reason being, what is in it for the Red Sox? They want Alex Bregman on their team. They want to re-sign him. So it just doesn't seem to add up in any way at all. And the other thing, too, I keep mentioning other things. What are you getting back? If you're sending $13 million along with Alex Bregman, you've got to pay that if you're a team that's taking him. And even if you're assuming he's going to opt out, you're gambling on that. Well, a team taking on $13 million at the deadline is not going to give up much. If you want, and you're the Red Sox, you can contribute money and send some money along, but then what are you doing? You're getting a better prospect package. They don't need any more prospects. They're good. So I just don't see the logic of this at all. And I know it's the time of year where we all speculate and we all kind of dream up ideas, but this one to me seems like a distant dream at best.
Even if they were out of it, you look at that roster, because I was just at Fenway. I just talked about it yesterday. It's Trevor Story and Alex Bregman and a bunch of kids from, high school. Like, it is a young team or inexperienced team. Like, a Romy Gonzalez is a little bit older, but he's not ancient. Do the teams still look at that as, like, would the Red Sox still look at that as like, hey, this is a guy who's won a lot. He can teach our young guys how to win. And if that's the case, does that increase his opportunity to maybe re-up or guarantee more of that contract this offseason? Not saying before free agency. I'm not saying he's going to skip free agency, but the Red Sox will be like, hey, your value is huge here because of this, the mentoring part.
Eric, that's why they signed him in the first place. They knew they had these kids coming, and they wanted Bregman to serve in that leadership role. And we have another story on The Athletic today by Jen McCaffrey, who covers the Red Sox for us, about just the impact Bregman has made on players as individuals and as a collective. This guy is all about baseball all the time. He sees things on the field. He imparts that wisdom to his teammates. So, yes, they're going to want to keep him, and they're going to want to keep him for just the reasons you stated. They don't have many established veterans on their team. And not only is he an established veteran, he brings that extra intangible, that knowledge of the game, that savviness that, frankly, is in short supply today. So I don't know how it gets done, if it gets done, when it gets done, but it's something the Red Sox certainly are going to pursue.
The Yankees do now currently have a hole at third base, and my friend who used to play the position wants to know who you think they could scoop up around the trade deadline to fill now a very vacant third base hole now that Chaz is back to second.
I talked about this a little bit in the notes column as well. So with DJ LeMahieu, they just released him, and they owe him $22 million still. To me, that would sort of preclude them getting a guy who has a lot of money left on his deal. They're going to need to address other areas as well, pitching, starting, and relief. So when you're talking about Nolan Arenado, who has plenty of money left on his deal, when you're talking about Ryan McMahon, who has a couple of years left on his deal, that doesn't make as much sense to me from the Yankees' perspective as a guy like Eugenio Suárez, who is a potential free agent. He would be owed about $5 million at the deadline, if I'm not mistaken. And it just seems to me, when you've got so many different holes to fill and future commitments as well, that you don't want to be tying it up in guys who have money coming. I might be wrong about that. Maybe the Yankees just say the heck with it. But it just seems to me a guy like Suárez, doesn't have to be him, but someone who's a potential free agent, that would be a better fit.
How about Bryan Hayes? And I say that, and I get it. People are going to be like, you're an idiot. We don't want Bryan Hayes. But so much of what was talked about the Yankees was defense. He would add that defense. He would lock down the number 9 spot in the lineup. I get that. Maybe he has an uptick when he's in a winning situation. Is that a possibility? I get it, though. It's the same as what you were saying, already has a contract, but it's not that big.
Right. His deal is, I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, Eric, but it's not as lucrative as the others, if I'm not mistaken. And Bryan Hayes, yes, he would give something to the Yankees that they badly need, and that's defensive improvement. They have been better defensively this year, and they'll be better now with Jazz at second. They had him out of position, let's face it. And he wasn't bad at third base, but DJ was at second. DJ was not as mobile as he once was, so it wasn't the ideal defensive scenario. Bryan Hayes does fit from that perspective, and I would expect that if he got out of Pittsburgh, he'd be a better offensive player. So dealing with the Pirates, not always easy, and I'm not sure what they'd be looking for from the Yankees, because what they need, Pittsburgh, is a group of young hitters to support the young pitching that they have. Can the Yankees provide that? I don't know. You're not getting Jason Dominguez for Bryan Hayes. They don't have many other young hitters. I guess Spencer Jones would be one. He's in the minors. He's doing okay. But I don't know that you do that if you're the Yankees either. So that, to me, would be more of the issue, finding the match.
Yeah, Ken, in my mind, I mean, I'm the more cynical one, especially with the Pirates. They might be saying, hey, we're not making as much money as we thought this year. Let's clear some books. And we've now had 2 years in a row of Bryan Hayes not hitting up to par, where it might change with the Yanks. I looked up the contract for you. So it was 7 years, 80 mil. And Kratz did mention it was front loaded, which is true. He mentioned that, I think, a day or two ago. So this year he's making 7. 2026 he's making 7. 27 he's making 7. 28, 8. 29 he's making 8. And then there's a club option.
That is
for
not at all
2030.
prohibited. That's not
Yeah.
$16 million to do a Ryan McMahon or whatever Arenado is doing. It's in like the 30s, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a different deal entirely. In fact, $8 million for a player, it's almost utility player money. Not quite that, but certainly reasonable. So the money, I don't know that would stop the Yankees. The quality of the player might. And the offense is a question. And let's face it, they don't have to have a bopper at third base, but they want a competent offensive player. And maybe with Bryan Hayes, you decide, okay, the total package, we get a really, really good defensive player, a Gold Glove type third baseman, and we'll settle for less offensively. That's kind of how they see Volpe right now, quite frankly. And I don't know how many of those guys you want, but it's an interesting thought for sure.
AJ, we're in Vegas right now, and I have not had a lot of time to eat during the day. So
No.
what could we do?
I would love a Huel right now. Vanilla Huel would go down perfectly, because when I have to skip meals because I'm too busy doing what you do in Vegas, which is not eat, I need a quick replacement, and Huel is the perfect thing.
I'm a chocolate guy myself. It's got the chocolate milkshake vibes to it. If you miss a meal, Huel can be your answer. If you're looking for a big protein boost, Huel can be your answer. So go check it out. Our friends at Huel are part of today's sponsorship. They've got you covered, spelled Huel. That black edition is a complete meal to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. Little prep, basically no prep. Shake it, open it. Huel has sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. So go to Huel.com/foul and get Huel today with the exclusive offer for the FT fam of 15% off for new customers if you use the code, you know it, FOUL, minimum $75 purchase. Get after it.
The D-backs are already out without Jordan Montgomery and Corbin Burns. If they're looking to sell, are there a couple guys that are not likely to go? just because of their pitching depth? What do you think about that situation during the trade deadline?
They have a couple of potential free agents who are going to attract attention if the Diamondbacks want to move. And that's still an open question. They have all of these bullpen injuries, all of these rotation injuries. It seems like it's a star-crossed season for them, and it's not going to go the way they want it to go. But Mike Hazen, their general manager, has been pretty adamant about saying, I want to buy, I do not want to sell. They have never rebuilt under Hazen. It's just not something he is comfortable doing. So if they end up trading one of the starters, and it would be one from what I understand, they would not trade both because then they'd have a difficult time getting through the season. Gallen, better in his last two starts, probably would get more attention than Kelly, who is older, 36. Granted, it's a rental, and he's a very consistent pitcher, but Gallen is the sexier name. In that case, yes, he'd be in high demand, and rightly so. He's Zach Gallen. He's been a Cy Young finalist. Merrill Kelly, though, is interesting, and I didn't know this until somebody pointed it out to me yesterday. He's 36, and in his last start against the Padres, he threw 4 of the 5 hardest pitches of his career. So his stuff is intact, maybe even ticking upward, even as he gets older.
Wow. All right, let's finish with this topic. The Rays and the Orioles actually did make a real trade for a player that could be a contributor in a playoff game in a high leverage spot. Let's wipe away what happened for Bryan Baker in his first start of hours into finding out that he ended up with a new team. I want to get your thoughts here. I know you touched on it on Fair Territory yesterday, but then in your notes column, it sounds like you learned a little bit more about how this went down, why it was this particular pick, and why the Rays were so interested in Bryan Baker. I'm going to give you one more layer to add, Ken. I don't know if you caught the comments that we just talked about with Mike Elias saying, yeah, we weren't going to trade him, but if you tempt me with a pick, I'm in.
Well, from Mike Elias's perspective, you've got a reliever with 3 additional years of control. He is a good reliever. I don't know that he's a great reliever. And given the volatility of relievers in general, you make this trade every day of the week, in my opinion, for the 37th pick in the draft. Gives the Orioles picks 19, 30, 31, and 37. And the Rays had 2 competitive balance A-round picks, 37 and 42. They couldn't trade 42 because while these picks are the only ones that can be traded, the competitive balance picks, that one already had been traded. They had acquired it in the Jeffrey Springs trade. So that one was out. 37 was the one they had. And from the Rays perspective, it's so difficult to make a deal this time of year. Teams are getting ready for the draft. They're not really ready to declare themselves sellers, buyers. It's just too early. The deadline's still 19, 20 days away. The Rays wanted to get something done. Their bullpen has been reeling over the last 2 weeks or so. So to get something done, they had to part with that pick. And in their minds, Baker is a quality guy. He's kind of platoon neutral going forward in their heads. And they see him as someone that they can keep for a couple of years. They weren't going to give the pick up for a rental. But with 3 years of control through arbitration, this was something that appealed to them.
Okay. Do you think that the Rays will continue to be active like this, Ken? Last one here on the Rays. Do you think that they're going to push chips in? I know you talked yesterday about how they were very definitive last year, selling pieces, but it seems very clear that the Rays feel like they have something this year, and we'd all like to see that ALCS in Miami, right?
They had every reason to sell last year, Scott, and they did sell. They traded 9 players, got 16 back. Most of them were minor league prospects. And this year is an entirely different competitive scenario. They're in this thing. They're in it pretty well. And until this recent slide, they were looking really good. And they've got Shane McClanahan coming back. So they can do some buy-sell things. Zach Littell is a guy that, for me, doesn't get enough attention. He's a very consistent starting pitcher. He's not sexy. Doesn't throw a million miles an hour, but he gets the job done. The Rays could possibly flip him to get something else that they need. I do expect they're going to add maybe even more to their bullpen. Yes, they will be active. They will be trying to do some things. There's no question in my mind. When they are good, the Blue Jays are like this too. Much different financial circumstances, of course. But when these teams are good, they generally go for it. And I expect the Rays will do that.